Hey, this is Brad and Street Bees. I wanted to do a little video documentation on this. I came out here to make sure that our hives are big hives, are strapped down good, and I'm going to try this. I hope I don't regret it because I don't have anything on. Let's see if this works. Let me try to back out a little bit. It's too close. Let's see if that works a little better. So, I don't know what it is about these screen bottom boards, but this is the second time now that we've had a small swarm come out onto the bottom of one of our stronger boxes. I guess it's the smell, of course. I tried to reach under there and get a few and put them down the box. The last time this happened, I did a video on it, and it was just awful weather, and I got them in the box, but I believe they just absconded because I didn't have any kind of drawn out frames or anything, and it got really cold. I mean, really cold. 28 or something like that for 2 nights in a row. It warmed back up, but it was too cold through the night. And of course, like my wife just said, and I said before I even walked in the house, why do they always do this in the worst weather possible? Because we have a serious front line coming from the west, and it'll probably be here in about maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes most. But they're fanning. I got a pretty good amount in there. I can't even tell. I haven't seen anything that looked like a queen, but they are fanning. I used a little bit of Swarm Commander, and so this time I have one frame that is drawn. It doesn't have anything on it, but it is drawn out. Good, beautiful white comb. And then I have a honey frame. It's an older one, but that ought to give them plenty of food. So, I mean, as you can see here, let that focus, there's still quite a few up here. I'm sure the queen, it's not a big swarm. I mean, if I had to guess, 1.5 pounds at the most, if that. I mean, it's small, but I'm just trying. I figure give them the smell, let them see if they draw in, and what else can you do? And like I said, I don't do lots of videos because there's so many people out there that have great videos of doing inspections and things like that. It doesn't really make sense. I do like to document the hives though. And we've had a lot of weird stuff happen this weekend. We got into this #1 hive that you're looking at right here, and I had just a week and a half earlier, I couldn't find the queen, and I had the top super left over for them. It still had honey in it, and so I put a queen excluder between that and the 2 bottom boxes, and sure enough, she was in the top box, even though I couldn't find her. So a week later we found her and put her in the lower box. Well, we did an inspection on this box last weekend, and they were pretty pissy too, by the way. I went through and just looked at some of the frames on the supers. The bottom one's full of honey, capped most of it. Second one's just about full of nectar. They're working on it, and the third one, they're drawing out. It's basically new frames, all new frames. But when we took those off and pulled the top brood box off, there's a brand new queen. The one that was in there was a Barnyard Bees red queen, and I didn't see her anywhere, and there's a big, beautiful golden caramel queen in there. So that was quite the surprise. I obviously missed a queen cell somewhere. I never saw a swarm. I don't know if they just replaced that queen I mean, she wasn't old, so I don't know. And then this is a brand spanking new package that we installed 2 weeks ago. That queen is good. She was out and doing her thing. She's green. New queen from Barnyard Bees also. The other package that I got, I put onto this number 4 hive that already had bees. It was queenless, had been for weeks. There wasn't a laying worker in there, but you know, I know nothing ever works out exactly the way you hope, and I was basically asking David, you know, what did he suggest doing with these bees, because there were still quite a few in there, and I felt kind of bad about just dumping them out in the front. But he said just pour the package into them if they're queenless, and so I did. And when I came out here 3 days later to check both packages to make sure that the queens were out, like I said, number 2 was out, and number 4 was out, but I didn't, the cage was empty, and I looked down when I pulled a couple frames out, and there was a giant ball of bees. Well, I knew what that was, and so I pulled the ball out and just kind of went through it, and there she was. And man, I mean, they were just, you know, it was a smaller than a baseball but bigger than a golf ball for sure, and they just killed her. So that didn't work out. At this point, I got a lot of bees in there. There were so many in there that I figured I'd just give them another brood box to see if they would draw it out, because we do have not the flow, but we have a flow going on, and just see if they could get that ready, because I have 2 queens coming from California, May 28th or 29th, I don't remember. Jerome Bee Farm recommended them, so I bought a couple. They're supposed to be incredibly mite resistant and very I forget the word, clean. They like to clean themselves off, whatever that is. This hive number 3 started off slow. Man, if you can see the pollen they're bringing in, it's crazy. Let's see what I get in here. I'm just seeing, I've seen a lot of color so far this year. Yeah, there was one. But they're bringing in this bright fluorescent yellow right now. I'm not sure what that is. I've got some wildflowers and things out here, but who knows what that is. But anyway, so this package basically, or this package into the box and the rest of the bees, it's essentially queenless. I don't foresee being able to do anything with that for another month. I'm sure there'll be some left, but now I'm super gun shy on doing anything with that box. I'm sure lots of people would say otherwise, but I mean, it's twice now. First, the queen failed. The splits that I tried to do off this, and this was our biggest producing hive, the queen failed somewhere around mid-February, and they had all kinds of supersedure cells. So I figured, hey man, it was warm. We were in the 70s during the day and only down into the mid-50s at night. So I split some of those out, and then we dropped into the upper 20s. I know, what are you gonna do? But what I'm really waiting for, and we're getting close, are these right here, these Chinese tallow trees. They are the #1 producer. They don't have any blossoms yet, and if you're from Texas, you know what they look like, but if you're not, they look like a long, thick caterpillar, literally, and there's just thousands upon thousands of them, and then they're just, if you were to grab one when it was green and squeeze it, it would feel like, sorry, just had a bee hit me in the back of the neck. If you would squeeze one, it would feel like honey almost. It's just that much. And when they are in, yeah, well, I'm right in the flight path and I'm getting nailed. When they're in full blossom, last year, the strongest hive filled out, would be our number 4 hive, filled out 5 medium 8 frame supers in about 4 to 5 weeks, I think it was. And then they dry up and fall off. And that's why people think they're trash trees, because they don't like all these brown caterpillar looking blossoms falling off. But they're pretty amazing trees, and there's lots and lots and lots around us out here. So that's pretty close. I'd say another maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and we should be it should just be crazy. And it produces the most incredible light, flowery flavored honey you just can't believe. Before I end this, I just want to take one more quick look over here, see how these girls are doing. Yeah, there's still lots up here. Ooh, wait a minute, we got a queen here. What are you doing? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna shut this off, because if you don't know me, and I'm sure most don't, I only got one arm, or one hand, I should say. Got my one arm done to my elbow on my left arm, but I can't do things one-handed here with the phone. So that's the end of this one. It's just, like I said, N Street Bees, and it's into our second year, and made about every mistake you can make, but we're still trying and don't plan to give up. So hope you enjoy. Bye.